Hey all, Soup here. Welcome back to an updated version of Decoding the Dates. How to figure out how old, or rather what day, your Thomas trains were made on. This video will be covering TOMY, Hit Toy Company, Mattel TRACKMASTer, TRACKMASTer 2 up until current day, Wooden Railway, die casts. This will be only up until 2012. And from TOMY, also PLARAIL. Yeah, so why don't we get right into TOMY? Alright, so for TOMY, I've got 5 different examples to show you where you can find the date codes on these. So for starters, we'll just do Thomas himself. This is the jet engine Thomas, but it won't affect anything different. This is for most engines who have a clip-off shell. So that would be Thomas, Percy, Lady, Stepney, literally any of the tank engines who don't have a screw. We'll get into those in a second. But most of them, you just pop off the lid and it's going to be a little sticker in the cab. So for this Thomas, it's L of 06. So it's going to be a December of 2006 Thomas. That's when he was produced. You can't really find the date with these TOMY ones, except for certain ones. You can get into those. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, that's all you're going to find. For screw ones, I've got Oliver here. You just lift off the lid, same thing. This is a January of 2006 Oliver. Okay, this goes for talk and action engines and steam along Thomas. Most of these, you can't get into the engine, and it's not on the lid of the truck, but it's going to be on the battery compartment lid. So I'll just pop this off a second, and it's going to be here, F02. So this Percy is from June of 2002. Put him back together. And over here, tender engines. This is also for like characters who just have a motorized coach at the back. This will be on the tender lid, and this is a D of 05. So this is in April of 2005 Gordon. The V just indicates the factory. That doesn't indicate anything date-wise. And that will go for most of the later entries too. Okay, Birdie the Bus. Once again, shell in the lid. This is in October of 2006 Birdie. And then our one oddity is Elizabeth here. And this code occasionally shows up on some characters, but it's not very common to show up. So with Elizabeth here, screw that a little bit tight. It's not going to be in the lid, but rather it's stamped directly on the chassis. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it says F2107. So this is June 21st, 2007. The F indicates the month, 21 is the day of the month, and then the 07 is the year. So that will actually segue us into PLARAIL, because that's kind of where it starts to get a little bit weird. So for PLARAIL, I only think we really needed 3 examples, because it's not like it goes weird. Because after the Hit Toys stuff, the stamping got weird on PLARAIL. It stayed consistent up until about probably 2000, until probably the CGI stuff came in. But, so here's LBSC Thomas. This is January of 2017. That's normal. Most of the Thomases stayed normal up until they changed the TOMY logo on the bottom. But then, like, certain Thomas items were produced in Vietnam, such as this Thomas from the Thomas and Flynn set. Instead of it being inside the lid, it's actually a little stamping above the TOMY logo. Now, that says I-10 of 2012. So that would be September 10th of 2012 is when this Thomas was produced. And most PLARAIL products that you're going to get nowadays also use that code. Like this All Engines Go Percy, for example. You'll see it's right under here. That one says D2423. So this is April 23rd, 2023 is when this Percy was produced. All right. Why don't we go check on, or actually here, why don't I tell you guys on how to do Hit Toys now? Alright, so I've got 4 examples for Hit Toys, because the coding starts to get a little bit weirder from here, and you kind of have to use the internet to help you with it. Unless you have this written down somewheres, which, God bless your soul. So, the stamping is no longer inside of the shell. It's no longer a sticker. It is directly pressed onto the molding, as we can see with Thomas here. It is now stamped right here onto this little piece. So now it says 1037. So the first three numbers are the date of the year. So that's the 103rd day of 2007. That being April 13th, 2007. So this is actually a really early example of a Hit Toys Thomas, because, fun fact, they weren't actually made in 2006. They didn't start producing these guys until 2007. And then with James here, once again, no longer under the colid. The colid now just has a stamp indicating what character it goes to. So J for James, H for Henry, so on and so forth. His is just down here. That one is 2327. So this is an August 20th of 2007 James. Also a really early example. Okay, now with Hit Toys, RC characters were a new thing introduced. And this goes for like the flip face, whatever the fuck variants too. These ones aren't on the engines, rather they're stamped on the trucks. So this is a 232 C8. C is just the factory, nothing to do with the date. So this Stanley is from August 19th of 2008, because leap years and shit is different. But yeah, that's when that Stanley's from. And then as for road vehicles, it is no longer inside the body, rather it's back on the bottom. So Ned here is 340 C8. Once again, C is just the factory, 2008. And Ned is December 5th, 2008. All right. Hit Toys was done by 2009. So now what? Oh wait, hold on. I almost forgot. Inbox example. So with inbox ones, if you do happen to get them, most of the time the printing on the bottom here, it says 2008. It's not from 2008. You're actually going to want to look for a pressing in the cardboard here. Same type of thing as these guys. 210 E9. E is the factory. 2009. 210th day. So this Salty is from July, or it was made on July 29th, 2009. That's when he's from. Okay, now we can move on to Mattel. Mattel's stamping is also very similar to Hit Toys, but the numbers are a little bit different. So for example, we've got Percy here. Same placement as Thomas, same type of stamping where it's pressed into the plastic. This Percy is 0521 CIL. CIL is the factory. There's two factories you'll see on these, CIL and WC. Those are the two. 052, once again, day of the year. 1, indicating 2011. This Percy is from February 2011, February 21st. So that's when this Percy is from. And then Charlie here, sometimes it's just stamped onto the plastic too. So this one, WC Factory 133, that's the date, 2010. This Charlie is May 13th, 2010. And then with the talking guys here, I've got Thomas as our example. This one, not on the bodies again, pressed on the trucks. These ones are usually like this. CIL Factory 2011, 214th day. This Thomas is from August 2nd, 2011. That's when this Thomas was made. And then with Henry over here, this is an earlier example of Henry, but it's back on the body and it's up at the front by the name. 309 WC. This is actually a really early example of Henry because he still has the window stickers. But this is 300th day of 2009. This Henry is October 27th of 2009. And then once again, in-box stuff. Here is Scarloey. You're gonna go look by the barcode again. 216, 2011, WC. So this Scarloey is August 4th, 2011. Okay. Why don't we move on to what Mattel did to this range? Yeah. Alrighty then. Stamp placing is even weirder from here. Now we are into TRACKMASTER 2 up to current day. I don't know if it's the same range anymore. I don't really give a shit. So for the earlier examples, these are probably up until, I think, until they switch to the motorized branding. So this would be from 2014 up until probably whatever the fuck they switched to, I don't remember. But here's Young Bao as an example because I literally could not find anybody else. These ones are going to be stamped right up here by the screw. So this Young Bao is, hold on. This Young Bao is 2638D. So September 20th of 2018 is when this Young Bao was produced. Rainbow Thomas here. You'll notice there's no pressing here. They, for some reason, decided to start switching to printing it on the side of the chassis. So this one is 3161HR, HR being the factory. And this Thomas was produced on November 12th, 2021. Hey, his birthday was like 3 days ago. Happy birthday, Thomas. Actually, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Didn't All Engines Go, like, just come out at that time? That's a weird time to press it. Speaking of All Engines Go, this is where it gets really weird. Because you'll think, oh, well, it's not pressed underneath, it's on the side of the chassis. Where is it? It's on the coupling. So this Thomas specifically is 020 or 024D. So January 20th to 2024 is when this Thomas is from. And with the Talkers, they have this weird star coupling, so you're not going to find it there. But theirs is pressed horizontally on the certification code. So this diesel is 1384D. So he is May 17th, 2024 is when he was pressed. And with the new 80th stuff, it's back on the coupling again. So this is 1625D for this Thomas. He is June 11th, 2025. You know, the current year this is being filmed. And with the inbox stuff, this applies for all of it. It literally does not matter. This is at Kohl's, so it's got an extra barcode, but it's going to be down here next to the barcode. This is 1545D. So this James is June 3rd, 2025. Yeah. Okay. We've covered pretty much every motorized range besides TOMY trains, but that doesn't really matter. If you want to know about TOMY trains, go watch the last video that I did on it. But yeah, why don't we move on to a different range? Why don't we talk about the diecast? Alrighty, here's what we've got for diecast selections. This will not be covering anything post-2012, simply for the fact that I cannot figure out how the codes work on them. It is really confusing and I don't know how it works. But, this will also not be covering any of the Japanese ranges, so this will not be covering Tomica or Bandai Tex. This is Earl Gold Rail, so that is the only reason we'll be counting it. Alright, so why don't we get started? We've got Ertl to start. So here is a Gordon. These ones you're going to find, there's two ways you'll find them. You'll either find them stamped or pressed. This Gordon is stamped, and it's kind of hard to read, but it's 1783G. G is the factory, 3 is the year, and 178 is the year, so same as like pretty much all the last motorized ranges we talked about. But Gordon here is from June 27th, 1993. That is when this Gordon is from. And with Donald here is a pressing, so 2343U. U is the factory, 3 is the year. So this Donald is from August 22nd, 1993. And then Thomas here, inbox example. These ones you're going to find them. There's a little box pressing down here, 2073U. This Thomas was made on July 27th, 1993. Great condition for being that age. And then Take Along. So these two here, exact same year pressing. I'm just going to use Percy because his is a little bit more visible on him because it was a dual pack. So they have the same exact date. But you'll see them here. They're in a gray text printed on the bottom. So this Percy is 3366 SROO. SROO is the factory. The OO thing, that'll be in Wooden Railway too, but we'll discuss that later. These two were made on December 2nd, 2006, which is rather funny when they're Easter trains. And they were made during the Christmas month. Anyways, Moving on to Mattel, we'll discuss Hero in a second. Here is Talking Gordon. Mattel ones, you will usually find these stamped under on like the sliced off part of the chassis. So this Gordon is 160 0 AZ. AZ is the factory. But this Gordon was made on June 9th, 2010. Shut up! Oh, hold on. I forgot to cover the take-along box. So this is a double pack with Billy and Whiff in it. But these ones, you're going to find, once again, stamping is over by the barcode. 1789 SR. So these two are from June 27th, 2009. That's where you'll find the stamping on those. Now, as for Hero, this is just why I'm not doing the 2012 onwards diecast. The hell am I supposed to get from E46? I have no idea what that means. So, like, I'm not gonna try. Yeah, that's why that's not in this video. You can go away, Hero. Now, as for Ertl Gold Rail, I didn't realize this until I started filming this section, but James is stamping 6363 BA. There is no December 32nd of 1993. So either I don't know the stampings on these, or something got fucked up in the factory and it was not set to January 1st, 1994. I don't know, but that's the stamping on that James. Actually, hold on. Let me check my Toby a second and I will get back to you. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it is just how I thought it was. Because here's Toby, and he is 19-4. So January 19th, 1994. So that's how you... Same type of code on these guys as well. Okay, I was just confused. That's all. Okay, why don't we talk about the last range that I'm going to talk about in this video, because I'm not covering all the weirdo ranges. Let's talk about Wooden Railway. Alright, I've got 5 examples for Wooden Railway here. Now, as for the old style ones, so pre-2002, pretty much everybody and their mother knows how to decode one of these. It's just in the wheel. So this Thomas is 2001, self-explanatory. That's all you're going to find out of it. Now, once Learning Curve rebooted the range, I believe, okay, the first couple years didn't have a stamping. The supplies for Take Along too, I forgot to mention that. But you'll find them. It's a little code down here. It's kind of hard to read on this one because it's gold. But 2994 WJ00. WJ00, that's the factory. The 00 doesn't matter. The WJ is all that matters. But this Thomas was produced on, hold on, October 25th, 2004 is when this Thomas was produced. Same logic applies to this Thomas. This one's a factory error. I just wanted an excuse to show them off. But right down here in the corner, this is after they switched to press, or like the digital printing. 1530. So this Thomas is from February 22nd, 2010. Okay. And then for Mattel's Wooden Railway, I've got a Fishy James here as an example. These ones, the left code, this is going to be the product code. So that's like what it is in Mattel's system. Over here is where you're going to want to look for what your year is. So 1774 KQ. KQ is the factory. 1774. This James was made on June 26th, 2014. That's when he's from. And then as an inbox example, I have a Sodor Mint car. I don't have any for any of the Learning Curve stuff, just a Mattel one. But these ones, you're going to find them just pressed randomly on the back. But this one is 0785 KQ. So this one was made on March 19th, 2015. All right. Why don't we just go to a random outro? Yeah. I hope you guys find this guide useful and it helps you guys to figure out how old are some of my trains. I would like to also reiterate, if you guys are using this as a guide to resell your trains, no, age does not matter the rarity of the train. Your train could be from 1994 and it's still not going to be as much as a train released 3 years later. That doesn't matter. It's the same toys. They're toys at the end of the day. But I hope you guys find this guide useful. It helps you guys figure out when your stuff is from. And just, if you guys have any questions or need help figuring stuff out, let me know in the comments. I'd be glad to help you guys out. As always, thank you. And this is Soup, signing off.